Good morning, friends. In previous class, we were discussing these two assembler directives, that is external definition and external reference. Just understand what they do. External definition, it says that these symbols are defined in this control section, but they have used in other control section. Okay. Similarly, external reference, it says that these symbols are used here, but they have defined some other control section. Okay. So here, if you come to this control section, that is read record control section, here external reference are these symbols. What it says, these symbols are used here, but they have defined in some other control section. Similarly, if you come to the control section write record, here these symbols are used here, but they have defined in some other control section. Okay. So these things we have seen, and also you have generated object code for this program, what I am showing you here. Okay. And how to generate this object code also I told you. According to that, you have generated and you have also sent me the assignment, few of you people. The remaining people also send me the assignment, because I'm not going to give you any separate assignments here in this module. You have to submit the same assignments, whatever I'm giving you in daily classes. Okay. After the completion of this module, immediately, maximum, I may give you 1 day time. In the next day itself, I want the assignments on my mail ID. Okay. Next, you have generated these object codes, and the next step is you have to write object program, right? So to arrange these all object codes in a proper manner, we have that object program, particular structure of object program. Syntax is there, some records are there, header record, text record, and end record. So here also, in addition to these three records, we have to use two more records here, as we have used two new assembler directives, external definition and external reference. Okay. So for external definition, we use the record, define record, and for external reference, we use the refer record. Okay. So before that, what we have studied is the algorithm also, I think I explained you. Okay. So that algorithm was this algorithm, that is mm, no, I didn't explain the algorithm here. So I think I just stopped here in previous class, right? So now the next step is how to write the object program for this one. As I already told you, here we are going to use two more records. One is define record and one is refer record. To just keep on observing, very interesting. In define record, in column number 1, you should use capital D to represent it as a define record. Column number 2 to 7, you should write a name of external symbol defined in this control section. It means that nothing is there from 2 to 13. In fact, 2 to 13, you should just keep on listing all the symbols, whatever you want to make them as a external def symbols. Okay. So then from column number 14 to 73, also repeat the information in column number 2 to 13 for other external symbols. It means that just you write the D, and after that, in from next column onwards, you just keep on listing all the symbols which you have written in your program as external definition. Okay. So if you come to this part here, that is object program, as already I told you the difference between program block and control section. Program block will write only one object program for one entire source program, but in control section, for each control section, we have to use it as, we have to treat it as a separate source program. So here, 3 control sections we have in this program. So definitely we have to write 3 different object programs. So first what I do, first I write object program for a first control section. Its name is a copy. Okay, and already you know how to write a header record. Okay, so I don't I just skip this one because I don't want to explain it once again. So how to write this one and everything. Here you should write a starting address of your control section. Okay, that is copy control section starts at 0000. Okay, so next this is a last address of that ending address of that control section copy. Okay, then I come to define here. Immediately after the header record, you should write define section. Here you should keep on keep on listing the symbols which you have written in the external definition statement of your program, and immediately after that you should write its address. Okay, so if you go back to your program in your textbook, you please open your textbook and come to page number 91. In page number 91, you can see external definition statement in line number 6. There buffer is there, buffend is there, and length is there. So after buffer, you should write address of that buffer. Address of that buffer is 0033. Okay, that only I have written here. Then buffend, and you should search the address of buffend. It is 1033 in this program. I have written that also here. And you should write a third symbol, that is length. So its address is also 002D. That also I have written here. Okay, so length address is 002D. That also I have written here. Next is you should write refer record, because in your program you have in copy control section you have both assembler directives, external definition as well as external reference. So here also you should just keep on listing the symbols which you want to make them as external reference. So only 2 symbols are there in line number 7. One is read record and another one is write record. I have listed here. Okay, so for that refer record we have this syntax. Column number 1 should have R. Column number 2 to 7 should have name of external symbol referred to in this control section. 8 to 73 name of the other external reference symbols. That is nothing but 2 to 73. You can just keep on writing the symbols what you have made as a external reference. So after that you can write text record. Okay, so after the completion of a text record, what you write is modification record here. So why modification record? Because you have total 3 control sections. One is copy, second control section is read record, third control section is write record. So you know very well that copy control section starts in the address 0. Okay, so there you have written its address as 0 here. Here I am telling starting address of copy as 0. But when you come to line number 15, when you come to line number 15, it is a plus jsub. When you come to line number 15, it is plus jsub. It means that you should use it, use a format number 4. So wherever you use a format number 4, you should modify its address field. Correct? Already we know this one. That is program relocation concept. Right? So here plus jsub, whenever it comes, you can directly take its address as RD REC here. That is read record. Read record address should be modified. Read record address should be modified. So I have written it as here plus RD REC. Okay. Similarly, when you come to line number 35, line number 35, once again plus jsub is there. Its operand is write record. So address field of this instruction to be modified here. So I have written it as plus write record. Okay. Similarly, when you come to line number 65, again plus jsub write record is there. So here also that address field of instruction format 4 for this instruction plus jsub should be modified. So I have written it as plus write record here. Explicitly, I am keep on writing here plus read record, plus write record, plus write record. Earlier, you had only this much columns. In earlier in the program relocation concept, you had written only this much. After 05, you had left, but here you are continuing as plus read record, plus write record, plus write record. Explicitly, you are writing which operand should be modified. Okay. So what is that 05 is indicating? Already I told you it is representing the address field, the length of address field in half bytes, in the form of half bytes. Okay. So here this is a object program for copy control section. Okay. But if you write one more object program for next control section, that is a read record, it looks like this. The read record also, we assume that it is also starting in the address 00, because in copy address only we have made this read record and write record as an external reference, and this copy control section does not know about read record and write records starting addresses. So we assume that read record is also started in the address 0, write record also started in the address 0. It means that we are using 3 separate location counter for these 3 control sections, and each location counter is initialized to 0. It means that all 3 control sections have started in the address 0, and the control section read record is ending in the address 02B. Already I told you how it is and everything. Okay. So next immediately you should write define record, but in your read record section, control section, you don't have that statement. Which statement? External definition statement. You have only external reference, so just keep on listing that symbols which you have written in external reference statement. Then you write the text record, then you write the modification record, and you just write these same symbols whatever you have written here: buffer, length, buff and buffer. Okay. So why? Because here wherever you are getting in your read record control section, I am talking. Okay. In your read record, when you come to line number 160, there is a one instruction is there which is a plus stch. Since it is a plus stch, you should use instruction format number 4. And if you observe its operand, it is buffer comma x. So here I have written it as buffer. It means address field of this stch instruction should be modified. It means the address of buffer should be modified. So I have written it as plus buffer here explicitly. Okay. And if you observe the sign of that buffer, it is plus here. So plus I have written. If you come to line number 175, if you come to line number 175, you have one instruction there that is plus stx length. So that I have written here, plus length. Okay. Similarly, if you come to line number 190, there is one expression in an operand field or in an operand column. There is an expression. This expression contains 2 terms, and both of them are relative terms having opposite signs. One is plus, another one is minus. And after evaluation of this expression, you get some value which is an absolute value, not relative value. Already these all things I have discussed. So here in this expression, the relative term was there, no? Relative symbol. That is plus buffer, and minus buffer I have written here. Okay. It means that for the same expression, I have written 2 modification records here. Sir, even though there is no any plus symbol there and we no need to use a force format, why you have modified it? Because the reason already I told you, already these two relative symbols are going to be evaluated to a absolute symbol or absolute value, which is not referring any address. So for that one, I have written this modification records here. Okay. So if you observe carefully, both of them are starting in the address 0028. Okay. So these all things you should understand. So this is the object program for the control section read record. Similarly, you write a control section, you write the object program for a write record. Write record control section also starts in the address 000 and it ends in the address 001. See, already I told you how it is. Because one symbol table only I had shown you in your previous class. And next you should write actually define record, but here external definition statement is not present in your write record control section. Directly you write external reference here, that is refer record. You can just keep on listing the symbols which you have written as a external reference. Then you write the text record, then you write the modification record. If you observe line number 212, okay, if you observe line number 212, there also you have one instruction that is plus LDT, plus LDT. So for that one, the address of the operand LDT should be modified since it is using fourth format and the operand is nothing but here length. So I have written along with its sign here as a plus sign. Similarly, you should write one more symbol, that is buffer, here as a plus buffer, because in line number 225 you have one more instruction, that is plus LDCH. Okay, so plus is there, so you have to use instruction format number 4 and you have to modify the address field of that instruction, and the instruction has the operand buffer. So for every external reference symbol, you have written one modification record here. Are you observing? Okay. So in fact, in your previous object program also, both of these are external reference symbols. External reference symbols, and you don't know where they have defined and what is the address of buffer and what is the address of buffer. So because of that only, we have written here two separate modification records for these two separate symbols. Clear? So this is about control sections. So very interesting concept. You please go through program blocks and control sections. So don't get confusion. In program blocks, we have a single object program. Even though in our program, we have 3 program blocks. Okay. That is, I think first one was a default program block. Next one was C data. Okay. Next one was C blocks. 3 program blocks were there, but we had only one object program. But here in control sections, we have 3 control sections. For each control section, we have written now one separate object program. Clear? Now, let us go to next topic, that is assembler design options. Assembler design options. See, very important topic. Its a topic is one pass assembler. Okay, so here one pass assembler, what it means, you know, already we have discussed about assemblers, and these assemblers are nothing but they are translators, they are converters which are translating assembly level programs into machine level program or low level program, right? So to do this conversion or translation, our assemblers use two passes. pass 1 and pass 2. In pass 1, what it does, what that assembler does, I already explained step by step procedure in pass 1 algorithm. In pass 2, what this assembler does exactly, step by step procedure I already explained you in pass 2 algorithm. So both of them are very important because any one of them will be definitely asked in your exam. Okay. Then if you want to tell what pass 1 does and pass 2 does, in summary, just in a one sentence, pass 1 defines symbols. That's all. I had written in bracket on that day, I think you remember. But what pass 2 does? Pass 2 does actual conversion, actual assembly. Okay? Actual conversion, actual translation, actual assembly. So these assemblers uses these two passes, pass 1 and pass 2. Now the question is here, if you observe in the program, suppose for your program, the first executable statement is STL return address. So how you translated this instruction into object code? First you have find out opcode of STL. Then you will keep on searching the address of return address operand in your program, in the next lines of your program. So this process is called as a forward reference. Already I told you, correct? So this forward reference is present in first pass, that is pass 1. So these forward references we have to eliminate now onwards. So these are the problem, these are the difficulty what we are facing. Okay, we have to eliminate these forward references. So it means that instead of using the assemblers which involve two passes, pass 1 and pass 2, now I want to reduce the number of passes. It means instead of using two passes, I want to use only one pass in my assembler. So how is it possible? It is possible when you eliminate these forward references. What is forward reference? I already told you. If you are keep on searching the address of any operand or symbol or label in the future of your program, in the next lines of your program, that is nothing but forward reference. Because of that only, you cannot assemble, you cannot translate the entire program to low level program sequential order, that is line by line immediately. If you are translating line number 5, you may need to go to line number 50 or line number 30 to get the address of that operand. So this is forward reference. This is the main problem here. So if you reduce this problem, if you eliminate this problem, definitely we can translate the assembly level programs into low level programs by using only one pass. So many assemblers are one pass assemblers also. Don't think that all assemblers will use pass 1 and pass 2, pass 1 and pass 2. Not actually true. Some assemblers will use only one pass and they will translate or they will convert the high level assembly level program into low level program. Okay. Now the main problem is, our main focus is, our main target is, our main goal is, we have to eliminate such type of forward references. Then how to eliminate this one? Very simple is there. Very simple. If you observe your program, first we write the logic of program. Then at the bottom of our program, we write symbol definition section. Okay. Symbol definition section. In fact, when I was talking about SIC and SICXC program examples, there also I told you in the beginning of the program, you first write the logic of the program. In the entire program, whatever the symbols, whatever the labels you have used, you will define them at the bottom of the program. So in a symbol definition section, instead of writing it in the bottom of your program, you just write that symbol definition section in the top of your program, in the beginning of your program. Then what you did now? It means that you have defined all symbols, all labels in the beginning of the program itself. It means that you are telling to assembler, in my program, I am going to use these all symbols, these all labels with these addresses. It is just like our C programming. In a C programming, before using any variables, we will declare it. Correct? Same way, here also, you first define the symbols, then you start using them. Then definitely, then there will be no any problem of forward reference. Completely, we can eliminate the forward reference because no need to jump to next lines to find out or to search the address of operand. If assembler already knows the address of every symbol, then easily it will take that address and it will convert that instruction into object code immediately. So here for that one, we are using one pass assemblers, which translate the program in only one pass instead of using two passes. Okay. Now, if you come to this point, so here in one pass assembler, again there are two types of assemblers are there. Two types of one pass assemblers are there. See, already I told you assemblers may be using two passes. If assembler uses only one pass, in that category also, there are again two types of assemblers are there. Particularly which assemblers? One pass assemblers. What are those two types of one pass assemblers? See, already you know when you convert source program into object program, what you did in the next step, you have to load that object program into the memory for execution. Remember, right? You have to means loader will load that object program into the memory for execution. Here memory means what here? The memory is nothing but it is a primary memory, that is RAM. Okay. So when you convert source program into object program, that object program was stored in some other memory actually initially. That memory is nothing but a secondary memory, that is nothing but your hard disk or any other external storage device. Now loader will pick that object program from that secondary memory and it loads into the primary memory for execution. This is the practice what we have, right? So now I am going to tell you something different. Okay, this type of whatever just now I explained, this is our normal procedure or practice, right? This type of assemblers are one separate category or one separate type of assemblers. It means first they will store the object program in a secondary memory, then from that secondary memory they will pick it and they will load into the memory, that is primary memory for execution. But now one special type of assembler I am going to discuss now, which will use only one pass. Okay, so here this one pass assembler is also translating source program into object program, but it is not going to store that object program in secondary memory. Directly it will store it in a memory. Are you understanding what I am telling? It will not store it in a secondary memory. Directly it will store it into the, or it will load it into the main memory or primary memory, that is RAM for execution. Okay, so here there is no question of storing the object program in a secondary memory. So because of that only, the efficiency of this assembler is very high. It means the speed of this assembler is high. Okay, so here how it does. So whenever, since it is using only one pass, whenever it comes to a instruction, it will just find out the opcode of that instruction and it will find out the address of operand. Okay, since already you have eliminated the forward reference, it has already know the address of all symbols. So just it takes the address of that symbol and immediately it will assemble that instruction. I mean, it will translate that instruction. I mean, it will convert that instruction into object code. Okay. So however it is keep on generating the object codes, immediately it is keep on making the list of object codes directly in the memory, not in a secondary memory. It means it is not going to write object program in a secondary memory. It is going to write that object program directly in memory. Are you understanding what I am telling? However, it is keep on generating the object codes. Immediately, it is keep on sending that object code to memory, and in memory itself, object program is keep on developing, keep on generating. Are you understanding? Now, in memory only, that is in primary memory only, directly you have object program. Then you immediately execute it after the completion of writing that object program. How to come to know that this is the end of object program? When you come to end record, you will automatically understand. You means assembler will understand, then it will execute it. Are you understanding? So now the question is how to eliminate this forward reference. Okay. So here, whatever the assembler type I discussed today, that is a first type of assemblers actually. And this type of assemblers are called as load and go assembler. Okay, this type of assemblers are called as load and go assembler because they will directly write the object program to the primary memory instead of storing it into the secondary memory. But the second type of assembler is whatever we have till now discussed till yesterday or till previous class. That type of assemblers are second type of assemblers. That is nothing but they first generate the object program in a secondary memory. From that secondary memory, they will pick and they will load it into the memory for execution. Okay. So first type of assembler is load and go. Second type of assembler is our previous whatever we have discussed earlier, that assembler. So today I am going to discuss this new type of assembler which will use only one pass and which will not store the object program in a secondary memory. Directly it stores it into the primary memory. This assembler is load and go. So its main objective, its main responsibility, its main expectation is programmer has removed or eliminated forward reference. So now it's our responsibility to eliminate the forward reference. If you observe this simple SIC program, what already you have studied in this module in the beginning, okay? If you observe the starting address of this program, that is 1000, right? Name of the program is copy. Start is a assembler directive which is indicating the start of the program. 1000 is the starting address of the program. Okay, next onwards immediately if you observe, next line almost some 6 to 7 lines are symbol defining lines only. Symbol defining lines. Instead of writing these lines in the bottom of this subroutine or at the end of this subroutine or at the end of the or the bottom of the program, here only we are writing it. By doing like this, what you achieved? When you come to STL return address instruction, you will get the opcode of STL from appendix A. No doubt it is 14. Next, you have to search for a return address of this symbol RETADR. You will keep on searching. You were earlier, but now you no need to search it because already return address is defined here. What is the address of return address? That is 1009. So 1009 address is written here. Are you understanding? You just recall the instruction format of SIC. First 8 bits for opcode, 1 bit for flag bit, then last around 15 bits for address. Correct? That only I have written here. Direct address only I have written. So this is object code, right? So now you just keep this in your mind in next topic I wanted. In this instruction format of SIC, first 8 bits are reserved for opcode. Okay, right? That I call it as 1 byte is reserved. 1 byte because 8 bits are there. Next, one flag bit is there, that is X. After that, 15 bits of address fields are there. Address field is there. That 1 plus 15. 1 plus 15 is how much? 16. So I merge that flag bit into address field. I mean, I add 1 plus 15. Then the number of bits is 16. Okay. So that entire 16 bits, I call it as a 2 bytes. So this is taking 2 bytes, this portion. Are you understanding now? Okay, this is 1 byte and this is 2 byte. Okay, in next point I want it, just remember now. In next, once again I will make you to recall it. Okay, now similarly like this, you have to generate object code for each and every instruction like this, and there is no any problem of forward reference. By writing your program like this, you have eliminated forward reference. If you come to the subroutine for read record also, earlier we had written this one. Earlier we had written this one first, then we had written these two lines, that is the symbol definition statements. But here what we are doing, we are defining the symbols input and max length in the beginning of this subroutine, then we are writing that subroutine read record here. Okay, by doing like so, we have eliminated all forward references. There is no any question of searching the address of operand in the future of your program. Similarly, we have written write record subroutine here, and only one symbol we have defined here, that symbol is output. Okay, so like this, by writing your symbol definition statements in the beginning of the program or in the beginning of the subroutine, you will eliminate the forward reference. If you eliminate the forward reference, then there is no any need of a second pass. Okay, in only one pass, assembler can easily translate your assembly level program into low level program. Clear? Okay, now you come to this diagram. In fact, you can open it in your textbook also. Okay, so here what we are doing here, just we are keep on writing the memory addresses here, 1000, 1010 and something like this. Don't worry, why sir they have given only this much gap here, 10 10. Don't worry about it now. Okay, here in between the address 1000 and 1010, whatever the instructions are there, those all instruction object codes they have listed here. For example, you go back to your program just now, whatever I had shown, you just keep on listing these object codes, 454F46 first object code in the address 1000. Next is this one, next is this one. Okay, so this one is in the address 1006. In between this 1000 and 1010, whatever the object codes are there, they have listed there, and the remaining portion, see here, the first object code, second object code, third object code. After third object code, all entries are X mark here, that is cross mark. Why sir cross mark? Because this memory is used by some other purpose, by the loader. Okay, this memory will be used by loader for some other purpose. You don't worry more about these all spaces here. Okay, so if you go back in your program, there also there are no any object codes here after 000. Object codes are not here because these are symbol defining statements here. So here there is no any object codes here. Okay, now next address is, next object code is 14 1009. Okay, it will start in the address 2000F. It means almost here 4096 is nothing but 1000. Almost 1000 bytes are used or written as XXXX. Okay, so just see. Next, when 2000F comes here, so again you will keep on listing these object codes here, and you will stop it at 30 2012 I think. Let us see here in this diagram. See, 2000, 2010. Okay. So one thing we have done here, what we have done is, go back here. See, when you come to this portion, okay, when you come to this portion 1410009, you have written it. And what is the next opcode here? Next object code 48, right? So this 48 is opcode for JSON instruction. So you have written 48 here. Then why you have written 203D? 203D, why you have written? It means it is the address of read record symbol or operand. Then sir, how you got this address of read record? Because here we have not defined it here, correct? See, now this RDREC is marked as undefined. It means it has not yet defined. So I don't know what is the address of read record. So what I do is, in this diagram, I write only 48. Next 4 digits I kept them as a blank or hyphen. Okay. Are you understanding why I have kept this hyphen? So only first 2 digits I have written because it is a opcode of that instruction. But I don't know the address of that symbol read record, so I have kept it as a blank here. It means this dash hyphen indicates that read record is not yet defined. It is undefined. Okay. So since what was the instruction? It is instruction was JSub. Okay. Opcode of JSub is 48. Okay. Come here. Opcode of JSub is a 48, but I don't know the address of read record. So this dash indicates that read record is undefined. Okay. So whenever you are keep on generating the object codes like this, these all object codes are continuously, they are going to load in the memory. And at the same time, you know, we are using the 2 data structures here, OP tab and sim tab. In sim tab, continuously symbols are keep on loading here along with their values. So for example, here length is there and its value is 1000 and C, that is 100C. But when you come to this line, okay, when you come to JSub read record, you have to mark it as undefined. So you will make a entry for that symbol here, but value you don't know. Okay, value you don't know, so you marked it as undefined. So star indicates here undefined. Then what is the address of that instruction? So you have to make here one separate linked list. You have to create one linked list here, and in this linked list what you should write is 2013. Why 2013? Because RD record is the operand of the instruction JSub, and from which byte this JSub is started? From the byte 2013. Okay, why? Because you just see here 200F is there, and STL is a 3 bytes instruction. In fact, in SIC all instructions are 3 bytes length only. So this STL occupies 3 bytes. After 200F, 20010 will come, 11 will come, and 12 will come. These 3 bytes are occupied by STL. Now JSub will occupy the byte 2013, 2014, and 2015. So here JSub started to load in the byte 2013. So now the address of JSub is 2013, and in that 2013 this read record should be loaded. Are you understanding? Okay. So that we have represented here with this star. Okay, star indicates that read record is undefined, and it is actually present in the statement jsub whose address is 2030. Okay, it means that in the address 2013 we have to store the address of read record. Okay, so then here null is there. Null means what here? Yeah, after this link list, there is no any list again. Next list, there is only one list is there. Okay, so within 1 or 2 minutes I think this meeting will end. So you do one thing, let us resume the session at 12:30 exactly. After 3 minutes, you please join the meeting. I continue. So you please join at the exactly 12:30. Now I end this meeting. Okay, you can rejoin at exactly 12:30.